Peppa Pig, Peppa's new neighbors. Daddy Pig is working hard. He is building a new house. The new house looks very small. Is it a house for elves and fairies? Asks Peppa. No, chuckles Daddy Pig. This is just a model. Daddy Pig shows Peppa and George a drawing of what the real house will look like. Something is missing, says Peppa. She draws a swing to the outside of the house. Perfect, decides Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig takes Peppa and George to see the new house. Here we are, he snorts. But Daddy, says Peppa, there's nothing here. That's because the building hasn't started yet, replies Daddy Pig. Mr. Bull is going to build a house for Daddy Pig. Can you build it exactly like this, please? Says Daddy Pig. But bigger, adds Peppa. Mr. Bull shouts to his friends. Mr. Pig wants a house. Is it going to be built of straw? Asks Mr. Rhino. Or sticks? Asks Mr. Labrador. Or bricks? Asks Mr. Bull. Daddy Pig wants a new house to be made out of bricks. Mr. Bull gets straight to work. Can we help? Wonders Peppa. You can lay the first brick, says Mr. Bull. Mr. Bull tells George to put a blob of mortar on the ground. Mortar is a special kind of mud that sticks bricks together. Well done, says Mr. Bull. I'll do the rest. Will you finish it today? Asks Peppa. You can't build a home in a day, snorts Mr. Bull. It will be finished tomorrow. The next morning, Peppa and George go straight over to see the new house. It's finished, snorts Peppa. It's almost finished, says Daddy Pig. It just needs to be inspected. Mr. Rabbit is the building inspector. He looks carefully at the new house. Very good, he decides, but you forgot the swing. Oh no, we didn't, shouts Mr. Bull. Here it is, says Mr. Labrador. The house is all ready for the new neighbors to move in. Mr. Wolf and his family arrive. Mr. Wolf tries huffing and puffing, but the house doesn't fall down. It is very strong. What is the new house made of? Asks Mr. Wolf. Bricks, replies Daddy Pig, so don't even think about it. Wendy Wolf likes the new swing. Can you push me? Asks Peppa. No, says Wendy. I'll huff you and puff you instead. Peppa Pig, the Tooth Fairy. Once upon a time, there was a clever little pig named Peppa. She was very proud of her teeth. Peppa and her brother George knew how to take care of their teeth. They brushed them every morning and every evening. Peppa and George loved playing dentist. Peppa would pretend to be the dentist and George would be her assistant. George's toy dinosaur was the patient. What lovely clean teeth you have, Mr. Dinosaur, Peppa smiled. Grrr, said George. One day, after playing their dentist game, Peppa and George were eating their dinner. Suddenly, something fell onto Peppa's plate. It made Peppa jump. What's that? She asked. Ho, ho, it's a tooth, Daddy Pig laughed. But where is it from? Asked Peppa. Why don't you look in the mirror? Said Mummy Pig. Peppa looked. She had a big gap in her teeth. Oh no, Peppa cried. Do we need to go see Dr. Elephant? No, said Mummy Pig. It's just a baby tooth. It's meant to fall out. A baby tooth? What's that? Asked Peppa. A baby tooth is a tooth that falls out when you're young, explained Mummy Pig. A new one will grow in its place. What should I do with my baby tooth? Asked Peppa. If you place it under your pillow, the tooth fairy will come. She will take your tooth and leave you a shiny new coin, said Mummy Pig. That evening, while Peppa watched television with her family, she kept thinking about the tooth fairy. When I grow up, I want to be a tooth fairy, said Peppa. Daddy Pig chuckled. What about you, George? Asked Daddy. George pointed at his dinosaur. Dinosaur, he growled. Come on, George, shouted Peppa. We don't want to miss the tooth fairy. They both ran up to the stairs to get ready for bed. What are you doing, Peppa? Asked Daddy Pig. Peppa was carefully brushing her baby tooth. I want it to be nice and clean for the tooth fairy, said Peppa. Peppa tucked the tooth under her pillow. Are you sure the tooth fairy will be able to find it? She asked. I promise, said Mummy Pig. Just you wait and see. Good night, Peppa and George. Good night, Mummy. Good night, Daddy. I'm going to wait up all night for the tooth fairy, Peppa said. George, let's not go to sleep. George smiled and nodded. Peppa waited and waited. She could hear something. Is that the tooth fairy? Peppa wondered. George, she whispered, did you hear that? Can you see the tooth fairy? She climbed down to look at George. He was fast asleep. It was him making the noise. I am much better at staying awake than George, Peppa sighed. She settled back in her bed. After a while, her eyes started to close. She quickly opened them again. I'm going to stay awake and see the tooth fairy, Peppa said to herself firmly. But soon she was asleep. Tinkle, tinkle. What was that? It was the tooth fairy. Hello, Peppa, she whispered. Would you like a coin in exchange for your tooth? The tooth fairy gently took Peppa's tooth out from under the pillow and put a shiny coin in its place. What a lovely clean tooth, the fairy said. Thank you very much. The next morning, Peppa found a shiny coin under her pillow. Mummy, the tooth fairy did come after all, she shouted, jumping up and down. Oh, I wish I had seen the tooth fairy, Peppa sighed. Next time, I'm definitely going to stay awake all night. Peppa Pig. Peppa plays soccer. It is a sunny day. Peppa and Susie Sheep are playing tennis while George watches. To you, Susie, cheers Peppa, hitting the ball. Now it's Susie's turn. To you, Peppa, she shouts, hitting the ball straight over Peppa's head. Oh dear. Wah! George feels left out. Sorry, George, says Peppa. You can't play tennis. We only have 2 rackets. George can be the ball boy. Cheers, Susie. Being a ball boy is a very important job, George, says Peppa. Peppa and Susie are having lots of fun, but they keep missing the ball. Ball boy, they shout together. Huff, puff. George is not having fun. He keeps running to get the ball and he is very tired. Then more of Peppa's friends arrive. Hello everyone, says Peppa. We're playing tennis. Can we play too? Asks Danny Dog. There aren't enough rackets for everyone, replies Susie Sheep. Let's play soccer then, says Danny Dog. Soccer, hooray! Everyone cheers. We can play girls against boys, says Peppa. Each team needs a goalkeeper, says Danny Dog. Me, shouts Pedro Pony. Me, cries Rebecca Rabbit. Pedro Pony and Rebecca Rabbit decide to be the goalkeepers. The boys' team will start, says Danny Dog. Richard Rabbit gets the ball and runs very fast, right past Peppa Pig, Susie Sheep, and Candy Cat, and straight up to the... Goal! Shout Danny and Pedro together as Richard Rabbit kicks the ball straight past Rebecca Rabbit and into the net. The boy is a winner, cheers Danny Dog. That's not fair. We weren't ready, moans Peppa. Rebecca Rabbit picks up the ball and runs. Hey, shouts Danny Dog. That's cheating. You can't hold the ball. Yes, I can, says Rebecca. I'm the goalkeeper. Rebecca throws the ball into the goal, straight past Pedro Pony. Goal, she cheers. That goal is not allowed, says Pedro. Yes, it is, says Peppa. No, it's not, barks Danny. Daddy Pig comes outside to see what all the fuss is about. What a lot of noise, he snorts. I'll be the referee. The next team to get a goal wins. Richard Rabbit and George run off with the soccer ball while everyone is still talking. Where's the ball? Asks Peppa, looking around. But it is too late. Richard Rabbit kicks the ball straight into the goal, past Pedro Pony. Hooray! The boys win, cries Danny. Soccer is a silly game, says Peppa, disappointed. Just a moment, says Daddy Pig. The boys scored in their own goal. That means the girls win. Really? The girls gasp. Hooray! Soccer is a great game, cheers Peppa. The girls agree. Peppa Pig. Let's go shopping, Peppa. One morning, Peppa and her family took a trip to the supermarket. Peppa and George jumped out of the car in excitement. They loved visiting the supermarket. First, we need a cart, said Peppa. Daddy Pig put George in the cart. Snort, snort, said George happily. Can I sit in the cart too? Asked Peppa. Ho ho, Daddy Pig laughed. You're too big, Peppa, but you can help with the shopping. Oh, goody, said Peppa, skipping into the supermarket. There was so much to see inside. Can we get one of everything? Asked Peppa. No, Peppa, that would be far too much, replied Mummy Pig. But how do you know what to get? Asked Peppa. We use a shopping list, Mummy Pig said, showing Peppa a piece of paper. We have 4 things on our list today. Peppa and Mummy Pig read the list together. The first item on the list was tomatoes. I can see the tomatoes, shouted Peppa. Peppa counted 4 tomatoes as Mummy Pig put them into a bag. 1, 2, 3, 4. She skipped off to put them in the cart. Daddy Pig crossed tomatoes off the list. What's next? Asked Mummy Pig. Spaghetti, shouted Peppa. Spaghetti, shouted George. Spaghetti was Peppa and George's favorite meal. Peppa found spaghetti and put it in the cart. Well done, Peppa, said Mummy Pig. Peppa helped find the onions that were on the list too. The very last item on the list was fruit. I'll get it, said Peppa. It's George's turn now, said Mummy Pig. How about bananas? Suggested Peppa. Or apples, or pears, or oranges. George shook his head. He didn't want any of those. He wanted a very big watermelon. Snort. George was very happy with his choice, even though it was bigger than him. Daddy Pig gave George the watermelon. It was very heavy. George dropped the watermelon in the cart. Rattle, rattle. It was so big the whole cart shook. He he he. Everyone laughed. Well done, George, said Mommy Pig. Daddy Pig crossed fruit off the shopping list. That's everything, said Mummy Pig. Let's head to the checkout and pay. At the checkout, Peppa and Daddy Pig put the food on the conveyor belt. Miss Rabbit scanned each item. Tomatoes, beep. Onions, beep. Watermelon, beep. Spaghetti, beep. Chocolate cake, beep. Chocolate cake? Asked Mummy Pig. That wasn't on the list. Said Daddy Pig, holding up the chocolate cake with a guilty look on his face. I thought it might be nice for dessert. Daddy Pig, said Mummy Pig. Sorry, said Daddy Pig, turning red. It just looks so delicious, snort. It does look yummy, said Mummy Pig. Let's pretend it was on her list. Hooray! Everyone cheered. When Peppa and her family arrived home, it was time for dinner. They had delicious spaghetti, followed by a big piece of watermelon and a great big slice of chocolate cake. Peppa, George, Mummy Pig, and Daddy Pig loved going shopping for food, but they loved eating it most of all. Peppa Pig, George's new balloon. Peppa and George are driving home with Granny and Grandpa Pig when they see Miss Rabbit's ice cream stall. Let's stop for ice cream, says Granny Pig. Why not? Says Grandpa Pig. I think we deserve it. Peppa, Granny, and Grandpa Pig choose their ice cream. George is next. Dinosaur! Rawr! Says George. I think George wants a dinosaur balloon, says Miss Rabbit. All right, how much is it? Grandpa Pig says. $10, please, says Miss Rabbit. Grandpa Pig thinks the balloon is a bit expensive, but he buys it for George. Hold on tight to it, Miss Rabbit says. But George lets go and the balloon starts to float away. Grandpa Pig quickly grabs the string. This is very valuable, George. I'll hold it on the way home, says Grandpa Pig. Outside Granny and Grandpa Pig's house, George plays with his balloon. George, says Peppa, this is an up balloon, and if you let it go again, it will go up to the moon. Moon? Cries George, and he lets the balloon go. The balloon goes up and up, but Grandpa Pig catches it just in time. Peppa and George have gone indoors to keep the balloon safe. Hello, Polly, says Peppa. George has got a new balloon. Squawk, cries Polly. Balloon. Both Polly and George love the balloon. Oh no, George cries, letting go of the balloon. The balloon floats all the way out of the door, up the stairs, and into the attic. Don't worry, it's safe in here, says Peppa. The only way out of the attic is the window, says Granny Pig. And the window is always shut. But the window is not shut. The balloon escapes outside. Your balloon is going to the moon, George, says Peppa. Wah! Cries George. Just then, Daddy Pig arrives to take them home. Oh dear, says Daddy Pig. There must be some sort of way we can get the balloon back, cries Granny Pig. Squawk, balloon, says Polly Parrot. Polly flies high up in the sky and catches the balloon string in her beak. Polly to the rescue, cries Grandpa Pig. Polly Parrot has saved the day. Hooray! George cheers. Who's a clever Polly? Says Granny Pig. Who's a clever Polly? Repeats Polly Parrot. George, don't let go of your balloon again, says Peppa. Daddy Pig has an idea. I'll tie the balloon to your wrist, George, he says. That will stop it from floating away. George is very happy. He loves his balloon. Everyone is happy his balloon was rescued. Snort. Squawk, balloon. Peppa Pig dentist trip. Every morning, Peppa and George brush their teeth. Brush, brush, brush. George, are your teeth as clean as mine? Peppa asks, showing off her shiny white teeth. You both have lovely clean teeth. I'm sure the dentist will be happy, calls out Daddy Pig. Later that day, Peppa and George are at the dentist's office, waiting for their checkups. It is George's first visit. Peppa, George, the dentist will see you now, says Miss Rabbit, the nurse. Hooray! They both cheer. Peppa and George meet Dr. Elephant, the dentist. Who's first? He asks. I'm first, replies Peppa. I'm a big girl. Watch me, George. Open wide, please, Dr. Elephant says. Ah! Peppa opens her mouth as wide as she possibly can. Let's take a look, says Dr. Elephant, checking Peppa's teeth with a mirror. There, all done. What beautiful, clean teeth, says Dr. Elephant. Now you can rinse your mouth. Gargle, psh. The pink liquid tastes like bubblegum. Peppa spits it out into the sink. It's George's turn. George does not want it to be his turn. Dr. Elephant can tell he is nervous, so he lets George hold Mr. Dinosaur. All right, you have very strong, clean teeth, George. Dr. Elephant smiles. But wait, what is this? Cries Dr. Elephant. George has clean teeth, but this young dinosaur's teeth are very dirty. The water jet, please, Miss Rabbit, orders the dentist. He uses the water to clean Mr. Dinosaur's teeth. Pink, cries George, picking up a glass. That's right, George, says Dr. Elephant. Mr. Dinosaur needs to rinse the bubblegum-flavored drink. Wow, what shiny teeth you have, Mr. Dinosaur, cries Miss Rabbit. Dinosaur, grrr, says George. George loves Mr. Dinosaur, especially now that he has nice, clean teeth. And now, Peppa and George have clean teeth too. Peppa Pig Sports Day. Today is school sports day. Peppa and her friends are all here. The first event is running. The children have to run as fast as they can. Ready, set, go, says Madame Gazelle. Susie and Peppa are chatting about who can run the fastest. Rebecca Rabbit is in the lead. Peppa and Susie are coming in last. Rebecca Rabbit wins the race. Hooray! Everyone cheers. Peppa and Susie are last. It doesn't matter if you win, Daddy Pig reminds them, as long as you have fun. The next event is a long jump, says Madame Gazelle. George and Richard Rabbit have to run and then jump as far as they can. Whoever jumps the furthest is the winner. Ready, set, go. Oh dear, Richard Rabbit has jumped further than George. Hooray, shouts all his friends. George is not happy. Remember, George, says Peppa, it doesn't matter if you win as long as you have fun. The next race is the relay. Daddy Pig is in the lead. He hands the baton to Peppa. Thank you, Daddy. You did very well. Now it's my turn too, begins Peppa. Stop talking and run, snorts Daddy Pig. Emily Elephant is the winner. Everyone cheers, hooray! Peppa comes last. She is not feeling happy. It's the last event of the day, the tug of war. Boys against girls. The girls will win, snorts Peppa. Woof, No, they won't, says Danny. Everyone is pulling so hard, the rope breaks. The result is a tie. Both teams win, says Madame Gazelle. Everyone cheers. Hooray! I love school sports day, snorts Peppa. I have so much fun. Peppa Pig, bedtime for Peppa. One evening, Peppa and George are finishing their dinner. It is almost bedtime, but the little piggies are not sleepy. Can we play outside for just a tiny bit? Peppa asked. All right, says Daddy Pig, but you must come in when we call you for your bath. Peppa and George go outside to play one last game before bedtime. Look, George, cries Peppa, lots of muddy puddles. Peppa and George like jumping up and down in muddy puddles. Peppa, George, calls Daddy Pig, bath time. Peppa and George run home in their muddy boots. Squish, squash. We found the biggest muddy puddle in the world, cries Peppa. Are you and George feeling sleepy? Asks Daddy Pig. No, Daddy, says Peppa. We are not even a tiny bit sleepy. Before bedtime, Peppa and George take their bath. Peppa likes splashing. George likes splashing too. Ho ho, that's enough splashing, says Daddy Pig. Let's get you into your pajamas. Oh, can't we stay in the bath a little longer? Peppa asked. Bath time is over, says Daddy Pig. Before going to bed, Peppa and George brush their teeth. Brush, brush, brush. Okay, that's enough brushing, says Mummy Pig. Oh, but I think your teeth need a little more cleaning, says Peppa. When you're in bed, Daddy Pig will read you a story, Mummy tells them. Peppa and George like stories. They hurry into their beds. When Peppa goes to bed, she always has her teddy tucked in with her. When George goes to bed, he always has Mr. Dinosaur tucked in with him. Are you feeling sleepy now? Daddy Pig asked. No, Daddy, Peppa says. We need lots and lots of stories. Daddy will read you one story, says Mummy Pig. Which story would you like? The Red Monkey book, please, says Peppa. Peppa and George like the Red Monkey book. So Daddy Pig reads them the story of the Red Monkey. Once upon a time, there was a red monkey. He had all sorts of adventures. After every adventure, this red monkey would take a bath, brush his teeth, and go to sleep. When Daddy Pig finishes the story, Peppa and George are fast asleep. Good night, Peppa. Sweet dreams. Peppa Pig. Peppa loves to bake. Miss Rabbit is having a baking competition. Peppa is very excited. Can we bake a cake, please? She asks Mummy and Daddy Pig. Yes, of course, Peppa, replies Mummy Pig. Cake, George cheers. Peppa and her family gather a recipe book in their kitchen supplies. They wash their hands with soap and water, bubbly, bubbly, scrubbly. It's time to bake. Peppa points to a Victoria sponge cake on the book cover. Can we make a cake like this? She asks. Peppa and George mix the ingredients while Mummy and Daddy Pig watch. When the cake is done, it looks tasty. Spongy, spongy, says George. But Peppa isn't sure if the cake will win the competition. Then Peppa remembers. It's Miss Rabbit's baking competition. That gives her an idea. Miss Rabbit loves carrots, Peppa says. We should make a carrot cake. Mummy and Daddy Pig think it's a great idea. They all get to work making the cake. After baking the cake, they let it cool. Then, Peppa and George help decorate it. But Peppa isn't sure this cake will win either. What about a chocolate cake? Peppa suggests. Daddy Pig likes chocolate cake. They start mixing the ingredients. You can't go wrong with a chocolate cake, Daddy Pig says. Why's that, Daddy Pig? Asks Mummy Pig. Because it's made from yummy chocolate, of course, replies Daddy. So Peppa and her family get to work and bake a yummy chocolate cake. Soon, the chocolate cake is ready. It looks tasty, but the Victoria sponge cake looks good too. And so does the carrot cake. I don't know which one to choose, Peppa says. Maybe we should stack them up. Mummy and Daddy Pig carefully stack the cake on top of one another. Then, Peppa covers the whole cake and the kitchen in rainbow sprinkles. I call this my giant sprinkle cake, Peppa says. It's got Victoria sponge, chocolate, and carrot cake all in one. The cake is ready. Peppa and her family bring it to the baking competition. Miss Rabbit spends a long time deciding who will win. Finally, she makes an announcement. The winner of my baking competition is Peppa and George's giant sprinkle cake. Everyone cheers, hooray! And the prize is everyone gets a piece of cake, Miss Rabbit says. Peppa loves cake. Everyone loves cake. Peppa Pig. Happy birthday, Peppa! Today is Peppa's birthday. Peppa wakes up with a snort. She is too excited to stay in bed. George, wake up, says Peppa. It's my birthday. I'm going to have a party and Daddy's doing a magic show. Peppa and George rush into Mommy and Daddy's pig's bedroom. Wake up, it's my birthday, shouts Peppa. Daddy Pig yawns and says, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Yes, says Peppa. See how much time has passed already? Mommy Pig chuckles. Okay, let's get your birthday started. In the kitchen, Mommy and Daddy Pig set out bowls of Peppa's favorite cereal for her birthday breakfast. Before they eat, George gives Peppa her present. Happy birthday, Peppa, everyone says. Ooh, says Peppa. She shakes the box. What is it? Peppa unwraps the present. A doll's dress, she shouts. I can put it on Teddy. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig is very excited to be the magician for Peppa's party. You will introduce me as the amazing Misterio, he tells Peppa. Peppa is not so sure she can remember that, but she can't wait for her party. A little while later, the doorbell rings. My friends are here, says Peppa. Hello, everyone. Hello, Peppa. Happy birthday, say her friends. Before the magician show, Peppa must introduce Daddy Pig. Ladies and gentlemen, begins Peppa, but she can't remember what name to say. She says, it's Magic Daddy. Hooray! Everyone shouts and claps. Daddy begins his first magic trick. Abracadabra, he says. Then he pulls something special out of his top hat. Wow, says Peppa, it's Teddy. Peppa and her friends clap. Daddy Pig takes a bow. For the next trick, Daddy Pig gives Susie Sheep 3 colorful balls. Without looking, he will guess which ball she chooses. Abracadabra, says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig guesses the yellow ball. No, says Susie. He guesses the blue ball. No, says Susie. He guesses the red ball. That's it. Silly magic, Daddy, Peppa says. You said all three colors. Shh, Peppa, whispers Daddy Pig. Don't tell anyone. But everyone hears them, and everyone giggles. For the last trick, Daddy Pig tells the children to close their eyes. Now say the magic word, abracadabra. Abracadabra, everyone shouts. Now open your eyes, say Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig has brought out Peppa's birthday cake. Now Peppa can make a wish and blow out the candles. This was my favorite magic trick, Peppa says. And this is my best birthday ever. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Rainbow. Peppa and her family are going to the mountains. Let's play a game, says Daddy Pig. We each have to spot a car of our favorite color. Let's see which color car comes along first, says Daddy Pig. Peppa is excited. Her favorite color is red. Beep, beep. Peppa and her family see a green car. Green is my favorite color, says Daddy Pig. I win. Next, Peppa and her family see Danny and Granddad Dog in an orange tow truck. Orange is my favorite color, says Mummy Pig. I win. The next color is blue. Blue is George's favorite color. Yes, George, says Daddy Pig. It's a blue car, so you win. Peppa is disappointed. There isn't a red car anywhere, she says. Daddy Pig gets an idea. What color is our car? He asks. Peppa thinks about it. It's red, she says. I win, I win. Peppa and her family arrive at the top of the mountains, but it started to rain. The best thing to eat in the rainy weather is ice cream. Thankfully, Miss Rabbit's ice cream cart isn't far. 4 ice creams, please, says Daddy Pig. Ice cream, cheers Peppa. And look, says Mummy Pig, they are our favorite colors. Mint green is for Daddy Pig, orange is for Mummy Pig, strawberry is red for Peppa, and blueberry is blue for George. Soon the sun appears, and something else too, a rainbow. A rainbow comes out only when it's rainy and sunny at the same time. That is because the light from the sun shines through the water of the rain. It's got all of our favorite colors in it, says Mummy Pig. The colors in the rainbow are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Mummy Pig says that sometimes you find treasure at the end of the rainbow. Let's go, Peppa shouts. Mummy Pig drives to the edge of a mountain. But when they arrive, it stopped raining, and the rainbow is gone. Wah! Cries George. Don't worry, George, says Mummy Pig. Maybe the rainbow has left some treasure behind. There's something over here, Daddy Pig says. It's a big muddy puddle. Muddy puddles are made when the ground gets wet. This is the best rainbow treasure ever, says Peppa. Peppa loves rainbows. Everyone loves rainbows. Make your own rainbow. Rainbows are formed when light reflects through the water. Water makes the light bend. It is a process also known as refraction of light. Rainbows are pretty. Did you know you can make your own rainbow? Get an adult to help you with this experiment to make your own. Step 1. Fill a clear glass with water. Step 2. Place a small mirror in the glass at an angle. Step 3. Shine a flashlight at the mirror. Step 4. Look around. Tip: it might be easier to see if the room you're in is dark. You just made your own rainbow. You can try angling your mirror or flashlight in different ways to see a brighter rainbow. Remember to never shine a flashlight in your eyes or anybody else's. Note: sometimes your rainbow might just be a white glimmer. That's still pretty too. Try again at a different time of day or in a different room for a new color. And of course, when it's raining and sunny, look out a window. You might see a real rainbow in the sky. Peppa Pig. Peppa goes to the library. It is time for Peppa and George to go to bed. I'm not sleepy, says Peppa. Please, can we have a story? Okay, says Mummy Pig. I'll read you the Red Monkey. Peppa sighs. But we always have that one. Peppa finds another book on her bookshelf. It's The Wonderful World of Concrete, says Mummy. I've been looking for that, says Daddy Pig. It's my library book, but I forgot to take it back. Concrete is a construction material composed of sand, water, and chemical admixtures. Daddy Pig reads. When Daddy Pig looks up from the page, everyone has fallen asleep, including Mummy Pig. In the morning, Peppa and her family go to the library. It is a big building filled with books. Wow, says Peppa loudly. What a lot of books. Shh, you must be quiet in the library, whispered Daddy Pig. This is where people come to read. Miss Rabbit works in the library. Hello, Mummy Pig, says Miss Rabbit. Are you here to borrow some books? Yes, but first we have one to return, says Mummy Pig. She hands Miss Rabbit The Wonderful World of Concrete. Miss Rabbit scans Daddy Pig's book. An alarm goes off. Daddy Pig, says Miss Rabbit, you've had this book out of the library for 10 years. Daddy, gasped Peppa. Sorry, Miss Rabbit, says Daddy Pig, turning very red. Miss Rabbit, can George and I borrow a book, please? Asked Peppa. Of course you can, Peppa, says Miss Rabbit. The children's section is over here. Miss Rabbit shows Peppa and George a colorful corner of the library. The library is full of exciting books for children. Peppa finds a book about fairies. George finds a book about dinosaurs. Hello, Peppa, says Danny Dog. I'm borrowing a book about soccer. I'm borrowing a book about nurses, says Susie Sheep. Look, Peppa, says Mummy Pig, a red monkey book. We already read that one, says Peppa. Not this one, says Mummy. Once upon a time, there was a red monkey. He jumped up in a space rocket and went to the moon. Wow, read it again, says Peppa. We can borrow it and read it at home, says Mummy Pig. But I was going to get that one about fairies, says Peppa. You can take out 3 books, says Miss Rabbit. Everyone has chosen a library book to borrow. Look what I found, says Daddy Pig. Further Adventures in Concrete. You must remember to bring that one back, says Mummy Pig. I'll make sure he remembers, Peppa says. Yes, Peppa, I'm sure he will, says Daddy Pig. Peppa loves the library. Peppa Pig. Peppa is kind. This is Peppa Pig. Peppa is kind. Kindness means you are nice to others. There are lots of ways to be kind. Peppa shows George just how kind she is. She lets him pick which show to watch on TV. George is kind to Peppa too. Twang, bang, beam. They make music together. Peppa is kind to Daddy Pig. She laughs at his silly jokes. That makes Daddy Pig feel great. Peppa is kind to Mummy Pig. They fly a kite together. Peppa is kind to Granny and Grandpa Pig. She waters flowers with them. Peppa is kind to her friends. She invites Susie to a tea party. Susie is kind too. Thank you, Peppa, she says. Saying thank you is kind. Peppa and her friends visit Pedro at the hospital. Visiting a friend when they're not feeling well is one of the kindest things you can do. What else is kind? Sharing a swing with a friend. Peppa and Rebecca swing together at the park. Peppa helps wash the family car. Mummy and Daddy Pig think that's very kind. Peppa is kind to her neighbors. Peppa and Zoe give them a juice on a hot summer day. Peppa is kind to animals. Peppa and George give duck feed to the ducks in the pond. Whole day. She shares it with Susie and George and even adds marshmallows on top. And being kind means doing things together, like playing games. There are lots of ways to be kind. Peppa is kind to herself too. She tries out new hobbies like roller skating. She also learns how to jump rope. Peppa makes sure she gets proper exercise to be healthy, and she gets plenty of rest. Peppa loves kindness. Everyone loves being kind. Peppa Pig, Peppa's party bus. Peppa Pig is invited to Candy Cat's birthday party. The invitation says to meet at the bottom of the hill by the bus stop. A bus pulls out and Candy runs out. Happy birthday, Candy, says Peppa, handing her friend a present. Thank you, replies Candy. All aboard, Miss Rabbit calls from the bus. It's party time. Peppa and Candy's friends are already on board. Is the bus taking us to the party? Asks Peppa. No, the bus is the party, explains Candy. It's a party bus. The bus even has a music machine, says Candy. She presses a button on a colorful machine and music begins to play. Everyone starts to dance and have fun. I thought buses were just for going places, says Peppa. Where would you like to go? Miss Rabbit asked. Can we go to the playground? Asked Peppa. First stop, the playground, Miss Rabbit says. The children rush off the party bus. Catch me if you can, yells Candy. She runs around the playground. Peppa runs after her. Got you, calls Peppa. Now catch me. After lots of playground time, everyone heads back to the bus for balloons. This is a party bus balloon machine, says Daddy Cat. Just press this button and say your favorite thing. Oh, Teddy, please, says Peppa. She watches excitedly as a balloon shaped like Teddy comes out of the tube. Who else wants a balloon? Asks Daddy Cat. Me, I do, the children shout. Before long, everyone has a balloon of their favorite things. There is a fish, and a rocket ship, and a butterfly, and even a banana balloon. Miss Rabbit asks everyone to take their seats. Where are we going now? Peppa asks. Next stop is the beach, replies Miss Rabbit. Candy leads everyone off the bus and onto the sand. Hooray! Cheer the children. Let's make a big birthday cake out of sand, suggests Peppa. Molly Mole and Danny Dog dig up a pile of sand with their hands. Pedro Pony and Rebecca Rabbit pat the sides and top. Peppa and Susie Sheep decorate the cake. That's the best birthday cake made of sand ever, gasped Candy. Time for some real food. The outside of the party bus has been changed into an eating area. Yum, party food, says Pedro Pony. Everyone sits down and enjoys some delicious snacks. On the way home, the friends get to ride on the top deck. There's no roof. You can see a lot from the top of the bus, says Peppa. Peppa and her friends see trees, houses, and even Mr. Bull cleaning windows. Hello, calls Mr. Bull. Finally, it's time for Candy to blow out the candles on her real cake. Happy birthday, Candy! Everyone cheers. Your party bus party was the best party ever, says Peppa. Peppa Pig. Merry Christmas, Peppa! It is Christmas Day. Peppa and her family are opening their presents. Peppa unwraps a toy car. George unwraps a toy airplane. Hooray, they cheer, vroom! Daddy Pig reminds them to be careful when playing. But Peppa is too excited. She trips and bumps her arm. Ow, Peppa says. She's very hurt. Thankfully, Mummy Pig knows just who to call. Dr. Brown Bear. Dr. Brown Bear is sitting at his desk. A bump arm, you say? And on Christmas Day? I'll be right there, Dr. Brown Bear says. Dr. Brown Bear arrives at Peppa's house. Can you wiggle your fingers? He asks Peppa. Peppa can. That's very good, Dr. Brown Bear says. But just to be safe, we'll take a trip to the hospital. At the hospital, Dr. Brown Bear takes Peppa to see Miss Rabbit. Miss Rabbit is the nurse. Peppa looks around. She sees lots of Christmas decorations. Oh, Miss Rabbit, the hospital is all Christmassy, Peppa says. Yes, Miss Rabbit replies. Looks lovely, doesn't it? Miss Rabbit takes a picture of Peppa's arm with the x-ray. An x-ray shows her bones inside Peppa's body. The x-ray shows your arm will be fine, Miss Rabbit announces. And for being so brave, you get a sticker. Hooray, Peppa cheers. Peppa loves stickers. Peppa walks out of Miss Rabbit's office. She sees a bed with Pedro Pony in it. Pedro Pony has bumped his leg. He has a sticker too, but Pedro looks sad. I'm sad because Father Christmas hasn't come, says Pedro Pony. Peppa is alarmed. That means Pedro hasn't gotten a Christmas present. Then Peppa and Pedro hear a voice in the hallway. Ho, 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 the voice says. It's Father Christmas. I'm here with Pedro's Christmas present, Father Christmas says. Thank you, Father Christmas, Pedro says. I wonder what it is. He unwraps the present. It's a toy boat. Pedro loves his present. Sorry I'm a bit late. I got stuck in a chimney, Father Christmas laughs. Thank you, Miss Rabbit, for looking after everyone at Christmas time. Peppa loves Christmas, even if it's at the hospital. Merry Christmas! Peppa Pig and the Lost Christmas List. It's almost Christmas, and Peppa Pig and her little brother George are mailing their letters to Santa. Peppa's friends are there too. What are you asking for? asks Peppa. I'd like a scooter, says Susie. I've asked Santa for a toy spaceship, says Danny. A toy mouse for me, please, says Emily. Rebecca wants a trumpet. Zoe has asked Santa for a ball and paddle toy. And Candy is hoping for a jump rope. Pedro would like a guitar. The next day, Mummy and Daddy Pig, Peppa and George go to Miss Rabbit's farm to find the perfect Christmas tree. They look at the little ones. Bigger, says Daddy Pig. They look at the medium-sized ones. bigger, says Daddy Pig. They look at the biggest tree at the farm. Perfect, says Daddy Pig. The tree is very big. Daddy Pig's car is quite small. No worries, I'll carry it home, he says. Peppa, George, and Mommy Pig wait a very long time for Daddy Pig. Finally, they see him coming slowly up the hill. Daddy Pig needs a rest. It's time to decorate. Mommy Pig puts the lights on first. Peppa adds the garland. George hangs some Christmas ornaments. Then Daddy Pig reaches way up high to put a star on the top. The tree is beautiful. Peppa sings a Christmas tree song. Little star on the Christmas tree, twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. All the little pigs on Christmas Eve go oink, oink, oink. Daddy, asked Peppa, why does Santa come down the chimney? Why doesn't he just use the front door? Good question, Peppa. If you see him, you should ask. But Santa will come unless you're sleeping, so up to bed you go. George, let's stay awake all night and see Santa, Peppa says. But George is fast asleep. Well, I'm gonna stay awake by myself. Soon Peppa is fast asleep too. Ho, ho, ho. It's windy up here. Santa checks his list and then squeezes down the chimney. It's a tight fit. Santa is surprised to see two little pigs. It's me, Peppa. This is my little brother George. I'm very pleased to meet you, says Santa. Are those our presents? Asks Peppa. They might be, but you'll have to wait until morning to find out. Santa, how do you know what presents to give everyone? Asked Peppa. Well, I have a list. It's right here. Oh, it was right here. Oh dear, what has happened to my list? I've lost it. How will I know who gets which presents? I can help, says Peppa. Danny wants a toy spaceship. Emily, a toy mouse. A scooter, please, for Susie. Rebecca would like a trumpet. Candy wants a jump rope. Zoe asks for a ball and paddle toy. And Pedro would like a guitar. Thank you, Peppa Pig, says Santa. You remembered everything on the lost Christmas list. You've saved the day. I must hurry now. Santa looks up the chimney. I guess I'll have to squeeze up there again. Why don't you use the front door? Asked Peppa. By golly, what a good idea. On Christmas morning, Mommy Pig and Daddy Pig wake Peppa and George. Daddy, Mommy, we saw Santa, says Peppa. And look, he left us presents. George has a toy train. Peppa has a yo-yo. Peppa's friends arrive. They got the presents they asked for too. Merry Christmas! Peppa Pig and the Christmas play. It is nearly Christmas, and Peppa and her friends are very excited. It's time to get ready for the Christmas play, says Madame Gazelle. Who will play Santa? She asks. I will, says Danny Dog. Who would like to be an elf? Wendy Wolf? Asks Madame Gazelle. Yes, please, says Wendy Wolf. I would like to be a Christmas fairy, says Peppa. Very good, says Madame Gazelle. I want to be the nurse, says Susie Sheep. A nurse? Asked Madame Gazelle. I don't think we need a nurse in our Christmas play. But what if someone gets sick? Asked Susie. You're right, says Madame Gazelle. You can be the Christmas nurse. Emily, elephant. Candy, cat. And Zoe, zebra. Want to be snowflakes? Gerald Giraffe will be the Christmas star. Pedro Pony is a reindeer. Freddy Fox is the Christmas tree. I saw Santa at the supermarket yesterday, and he said he is coming to see our play, says Peppa to her friends. Santa is very busy, says Madame Gazelle. It might be hard for him to come. He'll be here, says Peppa. I just know it. Susie Sheep saw Santa at the garden center. Molly Mole saw him at the shopping mall. Peppa also saw him at Miss Rabbit's tree shop. Santa is very busy. At last, it's the night of the play. Everyone has come to school to watch the show. Almost everyone. Peppa looks for Santa, but he isn't there. It's time to begin, says Madame Gazelle. We can't start, says Peppa. Santa isn't here yet. Santa did say he might be a little too busy to come tonight, Peppa, says Madame Gazelle. The snowflakes come onto the stage. Snow, snow, it's what we like. Snow by day and snow by night. And when snow falls, it turns things white. Snow, snow, snow. Peppa looks out the window, but she still doesn't see Santa. Peppa, says Madame Gazelle, the show must go on. Danny and Peppa begin to play. I am Santa Claus, says Danny Dog. I'm the Christmas fairy, says Peppa. And I'm the Christmas nurse. How is everyone feeling, says Susie Sheep. Wonderful, calls a voice from the back of the room. Ho, ho, ho. Everyone turns to look. Santa, cries Peppa. I knew you'd come. Do you really go all over the world on Christmas Eve? Asks Wendy. Yes, replies Santa. How do you do it? Asks Gerald Giraffe. With my sleigh and reindeer, says Santa. I'll show you.